Hey, welcome back to Sons of Souls live development. Yeah, we're doing the last time. We were faffing about with loading characters, is what I've written down, because it wasn't fully working by the end of the stream. We're just having a few bugs here and there, but it's been since fixed. Let me get that. We went from the excuse me, main menu. I'll save, it's fine. It's only the test scene, doesn't really matter what I've turned on and off in it. Play. Actually, I'm gonna provide a few changes since we haven't just fixed loading into characters. Now also save and load from the mission itself, not just the home base. And yeah, we'll get to the other stuff. So if I make a new game, I'm looking into smoothing that bar out using coroutines. Been a bit careless with it. Right, so here we get all our. It's generated well 11, the player plus 11 and friendly pilots, and those are all their call signs. So you got player, moonshine, royal, 2 moonshines. Actually, I'll have to write down. Actually, I have it. They generate into the old demo. They never repeat call signs, but didn't prevent that in the campaign generation. So let's see. That's for campaign and have same call signs. Rated? Okay. But anyway, okay, so 2 moonshines, that'll be easy to remember. Royalty, nomad. If I go into a mission, it was the case that it would always load back into the main scene, but even though we're saving the information. So now we've saved the info into campaign save and load manager. We are mid mission. Checked on. Those are all our pilots. Moonshine, the other moonshine, royalty, all the data about our pilots, and all their IDs, like engine IDs, not like pilot IDs. Yeah, and if I now quit the game, I can press continue and load back. It'll know that it was in the mission and load that scene. What it doesn't yet do is load the other fighters back in, but we'll get there. That's why I put a warning in. Need to set up active mission loading rather than just the whole empty scene. All right. So want to remember to set the correct background color and planet setup. But now if I go back to, if I go back to the home base, yeah, that loading screen is not looking very well. It didn't do any of the loading animations right there. But anyway, we can get, look at that, fantastic. Didn't work. Working, tested thoroughly, not working. Try something. See if it's a problem to do with the loading from the mission. But here's a new set of pilots because we pressed new game. Get player, Dizzy, Geek, Dart, Kid. If I go in and come out, it should be okay. Because we're dealing with the same. We haven't destroyed this script yet. When we stop playing, we destroy it, and we're trying to rely on being able to load the information back into it. But as long as we don't destroy it, the information will stay the same. So we should have all the same pilots here. Player Dizzy Geek Dart Kid. If I press continue, it should go back in and have all the same, because I do believe that was working. Player Dizzy Geek Dart Kid. That's all fine. And one bug to do with it, where I said, "Oh, it's working now. It's great." Do with it. Continue. I think it's okay. Because yeah, again, we haven't destroyed this. So maybe there was one case that I didn't actually test for, and that was being in a mission and quitting. Or else I've screwed up the code since, but going back to the main menu seems to cause a problem. We only have 11 character IDs. We've doubled the size of their details. We've loaded their details twice. Okay. Here's another bug. Character info loading if we save within a mission, whether or not we then quit. Or exit play mode more accurately. Still a bug. Interestingly, it's actually loaded all the correct info, but twice loaded, twice parsed it. Save from mission to home base, and we came back into the home base, and it did well, nothing I've debugged. Obviously, it did something twice. I've removed some of the debug messages, so because it was working as far as I thought. But only a couple of places it could be, so we'll find it again. What else has happened since? I have the heat on in here. Anymore? One thing I did fix. Let's make sure it's fixed while I say that. This is our old character generation screen, but it was functional. When you create a character and start putting in a custom name, the name at the top wouldn't change and this name wouldn't change, but it would save the name you typed in and it was all over the place. Now it's actually okay. Yeah, it changed everywhere. So I didn't make it much of a deal of it, but that bug appeared on the last stream. So just that's fixed. Loading characters. Well, I guess I didn't do. Can now save load into mission. Technically, the code is there for it. One thing I mentioned when I was talking about Easy Save 2 the last time, I think it was the last episode, was that you could save info out to spreadsheets but not load it back in. And that's still true for Easy Save 2. But Fungus is a free Unity plugin. Done episodes on it. What it can do is generate a localization. Can't remember exactly where to do it, but it has an export localization file thing. Anyway, it does. So for all these lines of dialogue and stuff you put in, you can easily export a. When I'm on the spot now, I can't remember where it is. It's not hard. It's just somewhere that we export localization. Export localization file, localization.csv. Open it like a spreadsheet, please, not like a script. So it will give you standard language here. These are the location of it in Fungus. The ID, you can give a description on it if you want, but it just saves your standard text you've put in it. What you can then do is put in French, Spanish, whatever, and then retype these. Then you just point it at the right thing. Because most standard Unity stuff, you can only import the first column of info from a spreadsheet as if it's a linear text file and you can't see the other columns. But I was realizing that Fungus was able to see these other columns. So how did they do it? So I took a look at the script, looked at what it was doing. It's using a library. So I think if you were to just copy my text here, it wouldn't work. You'd need this. You need to download Fungus, I'd say, because it involves this. And I'll have to check if I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to use it in that. I'd want to check that, but a CSV parser. So now what I can do. Put this mission card script on it. Point it to that localization file. If I say that this column B is column 2 and line 6. So column 2, line 6, just to prove that it works. Print the value. Hi guys, it's there. So I only kind of looked into that at the weekend, thinking I wouldn't get anywhere because I've tried before to import spreadsheet info, and I've even bought solutions that turned out to be complicated to use, or they were tied to Google Sheets, and I didn't want an always online kind of a thing. So that's essentially working, but it hasn't gone anywhere. But what it means is I can set up missions or dialogue or whatever as a spreadsheet. I had sort of made Soul Ed, which actually Star Citizen is now calling their tools Soul Ed as well, but I named it first, I swear. What's my game's called? Sons of Sol. I have a better claim to the name. Anyway, I might have even put out a video with this in it before they did, but look, who cares? It can be called the same thing. So this is basically a spreadsheet that I made through editor windows. Arrow of level 1, 2 has all these stats. It's essentially a spreadsheet, but I need not do it in Unity now that I can actually pull data from a spreadsheet, which it'll make this a lot more, even though this is pretty, it'll be a lot more flexible to do it in a spreadsheet. So I might just, instead of expanding on Soul Ed, which I thought I'd do at one stage, I might just drop it now that I can pull in data from spreadsheets. Everyone's watching and wants to know on how to do that. I don't know. Email me. Look into Fungus for one thing. One watching live right now, so just get in touch if you want to know more about that. It's quite a big deal. If you're an amateur developer, I guess, and you don't know how to write your own CSV readers, I didn't. Well, I sort of did it there based on other code, but I don't know what the code, how it worked. I just knew that it did work and put it together in the right new shape to do what I wanted. More like modding than creating. But yeah, we're still on Square Enix Collective for the next 3 weeks now. I can't see how many votes we have because it doesn't show us that, but we've like 85% yes and 15% no, and before that it was 84-16, so I think we're about 100 people, maybe. I check it every now and again. There's not huge traffic because the number doesn't vary that often, but I think if one change was 1%, probably around 100 votes on it. Could use more votes and definitely more comments. There, a lot of people have been leaving comments, which is a large part of why we do it. So votes are great and the encouragement is good, but I want to see things like you do or don't like the art style, you don't like what you're reading. Like the whole game is kind of described up there. So it's for feedback. Also to prove to Square Enix and anyone else looking at it that it's people are interested in the game. Sort of like Greenlight, leave your comments, leave your E3 has been on. That's the thing. Been watching a bit of that. I'm actually really excited for about an hour after this stream, the PC gaming show is on. Let's look into hosting that on this channel, actually. I can't remember how. But Xcom 2 have an announcement, probably an expansion pack. I'm extremely excited. And then tomorrow, Julian Gollop, who created the original XCOM, he's making Phoenix Point now, which is looks a lot like the new XComs, but a bit of the old, and some new stuff. That game's looking awesome. Just passed its FIG campaign, which is like Kickstarter. And we get to see more of it tomorrow. So I'm actually really excited about E3 all of a sudden. Because I didn't know there was an XCOM 2 announcement or a Julian Gollop Phoenix Point stream. So now I'm really excited. So I'm also glad there's a new Wolfenstein and a Metro game coming out. Metro games were awesome, and so was Wolfenstein New Order. And while I'm at it, Wolfenstein, I played an amazing Doom mod over the weekend called Wolfenstein Blade of Agony. And it's like 20 missions in it. It's like a story-driven mod. It's incredible. You gotta play it. You don't even need Doom, you just download a standalone thing for free and play. It's sweet. Been more fun. Last couple of years, I've had more fun playing Doom mods, good ones, than most other games. The new Doom and the new XCOM are the only standout games for me in the last while that I've played that were like where I had so much fun that I couldn't put it down. Kind of. There are lots of great games, but I don't get hit that way by games that often anymore. Back buttons, I'll show you this. There was the control key will dodge control in this PC anyway, and I've explained that the rest of the team are all on Macs, so now that I've gotten Mac builds working for them, one problem we've got now is the arrow keys accelerate and decelerate and turn left and right. But if you, on a Mac, if you press Control and up or down, or left or right, I think, they're all shortcuts for different things, so it like minimizes the game and does something else. So if you're accelerating and dodging, essentially if you're playing the game on a Mac, while it's not working, you just keep kind of alt-tabbing effectively into other shortcuts. So I've had to create conditional dodge keys for Mac. So if you're on Mac OS X, just made it the right slash and the right shift, and it'll do that dodge pressed thing and run through whether you're allowed dodge yet or the code to make you dodge. If anyone's interested in playing a Mac build who's not on the team, that's fine too. I mean, the PC demo is available to all, so there's no reason I can't share a Mac demo. I'm just not going to bother maintaining one. But if anyone wants one, I could share the link that the team have. It's the same demo. I can't even test it, so I don't put it out there and stand by it. But if you individually tell me you'd like to try, and I'm directly in contact with you, I'm happy enough to be like, hey, this might not work, but here you go, or there might be problems. Okay, so lastly, or semi-lastly, what was the other thing that I forgot to write down was, yeah, just briefly made it that if the enemy are dodging, they can't shoot. That back in. I'll just show it. I was going to show the debug. I won't. So if he's dodging, he won't shoot. Kind of hard because he won't shoot if he's not facing me either, but you can sort of tell that he stops shooting as he dodges. Kill him. Which should make player survivability and your AI survivability a bit better. But also it'll stop your wingmen getting as many kills while you're not part of the action. So that was just a easy, quick kind of a fix. Not a fix, but an improvement to the combat. That localization file, don't need it. And okay, so I will fix the bugs to do with loading the characters later, so about that. What I'll do is show off this new art we've brought in. Literally only 10 minutes before the stream got delivered some mock-up art for what the map will be. So here is our placeholder. There's nothing on it other than a couple of mission icons A and B. Context. So the background there will change into something like this. Let me try bring that in now. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that worked. So that fine. Have the transparency on it. I have a little bit of transparency on it. See a little bit of the background there. Fully opaque is a little too much. Good value. I could darken it. I don't know. It's an improvement. I'll keep it there for now. And here's a mock-up of what it could look like with the mission icons when they're on it. Probably the most exciting visual thing we'll see today. Probably a lot going on, a lot of interconnected lines and stuff here. Alright, because we've got the hexadecimal, or not hexadecimal, hexagonal lines, and then those lines between icons are brighter, but not that much brighter. And then every icon also has its own sort of header line over its text. So it's a bit too liney, but essentially this is the concept of what the map would look like. You've got your fleet here, bit of info on them, info line 1 and 2 on. And these would be, probably wouldn't all be up at the same time. But like, there's the enemy headquarters. You wouldn't know it was there when you came in necessarily. You would have just a patrol mission, like a scout and scan marked it here. You might discover that there's a fighter factory around, and that would stay there until you've killed it then. Destroy supply facility, escort cargo ships. All different mission icons and types in here. Other than the fact that it looks a bit busy, I think it's really, really nice. Been given the icons for... I think I'm done catching us up. Yeah, okay. I'm no longer going on the since last time section. We're into today's section, which I'm going to look at the icons, but also we're going to keep going with this, obviously. I've stopped naming them part 1, part 2. because a few episodes back there was a part 1 and part 2 of that, essentially what we're still doing, but it was just going to be far too many parts. We're essentially building half the game, so I'm not going to do parts. I'm just going to name the episodes as per what we actually do in them. Probably use a bit of trim on the outside of this. It's fine. Only prototype. This is, yeah, that's what's holding the icon for the actual mission type. So yeah, so these are all the icons. Oh, actually. Can't cut them out as easily as I thought. You know, like gonna go, oh, it's just 3 by 13 or whatever, but different sizes. Go. See if we can in doing impression. Yeah, I just couldn't remember what import settings we landed on. Per unit might isn't as much on the images. Sprite editor. Wrong one. So if I slice that automatically, sliced it as 1. Okay, that won't do. Oh yeah, because the background here is gray, not alpha. So yeah, I can't use these today. I could real quick. I don't think this will be an improvement. Globally, that gray color. Get very bitty. Background behind. Pretty good at all. Actually, it's still got weird pixels. Right, well, they don't look very good, so I'm not going to bother importing them. I'll just wait till I have a sprite sheet of them, and we'll keep going with the A-B thing for now. But remembering that it might look like this someday. This someday, yeah. Paint.net takes longer to load than I ever. Always longer than I think. What do we need to do? Whole bunch of stuff. Start. Sit back down. Lower the desk. Chair over. Down. Mirrors backwards hard. Or are the cameras? They're not mirrored. It's backwards. I'm bad at it. Never mind. I'm trying to fix the camera to make myself center, and I went the wrong way. But sorry, there was someone chatting. Minutes ago. You're making a game. Yes, I am. Lunar Orbit 1 on Mixer. I used to talk about Beam. Beam is now Mixer. If you're confused why I'm saying Mixer and I don't talk about Beam anymore, they've changed their name. Went pretty quickly and he misspelled your. Nothing to say about that. He messaged 5 minutes ago while I was still getting my head around what we were doing. Yeah, and no chat on Watch Me Work. I never expect Watch Me Work chat, but the day I don't check it is the day there'll be some message. So, what is the next most logical thing to do? Active pilots list we have. It's loading back in problematically if we're coming from a mission, but it's better than it was. We are creating random or from saved. I was halfway into getting that done, but we've done a bit on the pilots and the saving loading code, and it turns into bug testing. So I'll leave that alone for today. Oh yeah, and I should be able to save. I guess I need to be able to view the pilots. So yeah, instead of dealing with save and load stuff, we could just deal with making them not just names on a list, but into something useful. I play at the moment to actually have a list. We got a proper length of list, so I can work out of this scene for a minute. So what do I do about actually looking at them? I suppose I don't need to. Well, there's nowhere I need to click on them yet, so it might be too early to bother with that. So launching mission. Next, everything tabbed in, we've done. Just to remind you, done to a working level. Everything on this list will have to be improved, and this is the list so that we have the skeleton of a game working. Just keep adding meat to it. Save the campaign status. We are saving the day, we're saving the pilots. Known intel is not yet a thing we're saving because I need to generate the knowable intel first. So that would be part of campaign generation. In fact, generate a campaign would have been the first thing. Although, I suppose that's getting into meat and not skeleton. We're trying to get the skeleton done. I suppose if I'm gonna... Yeah, that would be meat, supplies and etc. You know what, it is kind of... No, I'll need to save something just to prove that it's working. We're kind of saving nothing, and nothing isn't enough. Once you have a working save system, you can easily add like more info to it. But just saying, it's fine because we'll do that later is actually contrary to the idea of building this skeleton loop, whatever. I don't have a good metaphor for it. Building this skeleton of the game. The save load loop. Save mission scenario and variation. I guess that's the logical next step, because I said we can save into the mission and we can load back into the mission, but it hasn't saved any of the details. And at the moment, the only details are how many enemies are in the mission. Spawned at the very start. But, that is still info we can save, and then you can vary that info into a full proper mission. Have multiple stages of the mission, each 3 save check. That might be fun to work on. It will. That's probably the most fun part, is actually building the mission. be worth waiting till I have a better paper design written, like on the table that I just follow, or write it up here. But I want to make it up as I go along. I want to write it down and follow it pretty closely. Save the results. Kills, pilot deaths. Right. So what we haven't done is save anything about the player. Pretty sure we're saving the player. Which that I need now. Manager home base. Or should I save the most campaign info? Home base manager. Not saving the kills. Each character script saves characters' kills, but there isn't one for the player. Probably should be, actually. The character script will generate the appearance of the player and everything, so of the pilot. So the player's one just needs to be this. Yeah, the player will be generated by the same character script as everybody. On this, we don't have one set up for the player, but we could. It saves kills, XP, situational awareness, and whether they're alive or not. One into campaign. True. Right, so this script is where we generate all the other pilots, so might as well generate the player here. So I guess what we'll do is we'll generate the player as a saved object, save him, go into a mission and just count how many kills the player gets. Logical next step is to actually take those kills away from the global number of fighters that the enemy has. So then we're creating and saving that info as well. We can pretty easily create a mission type where there's a base, which right now it's not going to look like anything, so I might just put in a square or something. But a base that adds +3 fighters per day to the global number of fighters that the enemy have, and that is the skeleton of a system where all the enemies are counted. You're trying to pick away at them and reduce their strategic advantage in the area by killing real things, not just by or capturing or whatever, but by having a real impact kill by kill instead of just doing a mission and letting the story tell you that you did well. Okay, create a character. Save kills. This is a very involved sentence, but in completing it, we'll have a lot of these kind of hacked away at. So, get to it. Taken a good 40 minutes to really nail down what and how we were going to do it today. Write that in the description, actually. On the YouTube video description. But the real episode starts at about 40 minutes in. It's all real game development, but if you want to look at new features, go generate the new campaign. I've put in, as I said, we were going to load in, make the characters loadable from create random or from saved. Right now it's only creating random. It kind of ignores this code and then just creates a random number of them. But we'll put variations on the code in here based on whether you have characters saved in the character pool and whether you have instructed the game to load them in before creating any characters, or mix them, or not use your character pool. Pilots, another. Yes, above that. Player. So right now we're only creating other pilots, not other NPCs like civilian players or civilian NPCs, or bounty hunters or anything. Like anyone who isn't one of your pilots isn't being created yet, and we're not creating the player. So player. Okay. So use this exact code, and all we have to do is set a name for the player. I suppose the creating a new game would be where the player sets their appearance and their name and call sign, I guess. Excuse me. But like for the moment, we'll just randomly generate that for them. Do that I+1 because the player is going to be character 0. Where do we save them all? I have a feeling doing this will just actually make the player a saved person anyway. First name equals I'll make it me. I can't think of anything else. I was going to call it John Doe, but the default character is called John Doe just so that I could see if the name hasn't changed. If it still says John Doe, then I know there was a problem. So if I call it John Doe, then I'll not notice whether it worked or not. Call sign. Give me the space cowboy. See if that actually works when I create a new campaign. What I'm going to do though is take away the line where it prints the player. I think that might be enough to actually just put in JavaSpace on the top of the list, as long as I generate the new campaign first. Actually, I should have left the call sign as player. Player pilot 1, pilot 2, pilot 3, then J the space. Oh, yeah, because I didn't clear the... I took away the line where we actually clear it. Was placeholder text, and we didn't get rid of the placeholder text. That's why it still said player pilot 1, 2, 3. Okay. AB X. X looks like a mission as well. X just closes it. We'll get our icons sooner or later. Sooner. Hopefully by the next episode. So the artist is down to pretty much 1 day a week. So we'll see. And what I can do as well is add bracket their kills just so that we're showing info correctly. So when we load that empty scene, we're actually not loading players' info in. Do that. Oops. I think the player doesn't even have the an avatar in the scene. Pretty sure. So there will be some work to get between here and here. We have to actually put player in scene. Have to be the saved player. Actually, the player is already in there, but put the saved player in. Save kills. Okay. Now for each of them. Space bracket. Oh. Yeah, where does it show kills? Oh, I don't think it's showing kills yet either. There's me. Yeah, I've got true 0, 0, 0. I can't just print that. So I'm gonna have to also separate out the campaign info, which we haven't yet written something for. Need that. We just for now write in a 0. It'll kind of remind me to print the kills there. It needn't even be their kills. Like ultimately, that'll probably be what level they are, or actually, the pilots won't be displayed over here. They'll be more like you click on here, and then it brings up mission description, and then assign pilots probably come up. So what we're doing here is a shortcut, really. What I need to do is we're just taking information from this. Just taking info from here specifically. We haven't actually created each of these characters in the scene. It's only information on a list. So all right, message to the artist. Irrelevant. Yeah, so you're asking him, was he happy to build out assets and stuff? Which I guess means those icons and the map and stuff that we showed earlier. So the way it works in character creation screen is all your saved characters become all their saved info. There's 2 of them here this time. Become this. Basically, this line carries a script, and that has their character ID, their name, bio, which is always blank unless you fill it in, their appearance, and other info. Yeah, all infos actually, including the campaign saved info. So this is only in the character pool screen does that happen, so we'll need to make that happen in the home base and then separate out so far these 5 items. Look at that script then. Yeah, so it's actually the character pool script does all the work. And that script is only in this scene. It won't be in the home screen. So we don't need this, I think. Just trying to think, how are we doing this already and can we replicate that? I'll just bring the actual character scripts into the home base and bypass that line. The line item on the list. Because the script as written doesn't help us at all. I'd have to totally rewrite how it works, so might as well write a new one or use the character script itself to. We saved everything about the character to the character script. The character pool entry script was just to display that the most important info as a line in a character. This knows about all his info. Parse in here. I don't think we just this int32 parse, which turns strings into numbers, into ints. So number 1 as a string is just a letter as far as it's concerned, but you can turn it into an integer doing that. Try to generate appearance by seed. All right, so set up from loaded info. Probably what we want, and we just want to add Are we calling this in the home base scene already? No. But I think it's exactly what I do want to. It also uses the character pool entry thing, which I just said we wouldn't use. Set up another one to load it from just the string array of information. Do that. So the first thing I'll need to do is split up that bow when I get it. Click again. We're going to give it is essentially give each of them this info as far as here. So we're giving them a string array. So character ID is going to be string 0. Yeah, this will be handy. Copy paste this in. Be sorry. It's going to be 0. Right, because first, last, call sign. Yeah, it's not fully correct. Calls player is actually element 5. ID is 0. First, last, call sign. Appearance seed is element 4, isn't it? Yeah. String or string array. String. I think I need to see it without the commas in it. Calls player, yes. Bio is 6. No, there's no bios. We overlook saving the bio. That won't do. No, I definitely saved the bio, but I think because it was blank, it wasn't appearing here, so that's a bit of an oversight. When we create a brand new character, it's going to make it a space bar. Now I think if I generate a new campaign, it'll actually save bios. So instead of being 7 strings long, that'll be 8 strings long. I think I was just getting rid of the bio as a saved item because it was blank. Because we remove other blank entries. Nope. Nope. Be here. Look at this. Yeah, there. Now we have a blank field. It's not blank, it's actually a space, you can see. Alright, we do have the bio now. Didn't take a whole lot of rework. But you changed it to be anything like. Joe was a good boy. Stupid bio. No, a space is probably better. Where I'm saying +7, I need to. I think that'll actually show the correct layout again. Because I've just essentially made a new field there. Even though I didn't make it, so just. Yeah, that's correct again. So now instead of being 77 long, it's 96 long. Or was it, yeah, 77 would have become 84, would have become 96. Yeah, so I was used to seeing the number 77 here. But then we added a whole new character and added one new field per each of the 12 characters. So, okay, we're looking good. Bio is then actually going to be which field? 6, did I say? No, 4. Where am I going? Here. I'm going to go back to the load. Yeah, here it is. Bio is 4. Current seed is 5. Ah. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 the appearance. No, 6 is calls player. Know why if anyone knows why Visual Studio goes like this, if you start typing in something, it gets the correct thing eventually, but if you go any further than that, it seems to. Yeah, in mono you can kind of go CAL and then LAY, just because that would pick calls player because it's got all those letters in it in that order, even if those things in between. And it's a quick way of just being like call player, and then it'll eliminate all the invalid options, but it doesn't do it in Visual Studio. Unless it does and I don't have it activated. If there is a way, that would be great if anyone could tell me. ed info, like that would have worked in mono, but not in this. There's only two tiny. Well, that's not tiny actually. That's relevant. There's only two advantages that I've seen mono have over this that I couldn't figure out how to change. One is if you click on a bracket, it'll highlight the other end of the bracket. Oddly, in Visual Studio, it does that if you click the bottom bracket, it'll highlight the top, but if you click the top, it won't highlight the bottom. Oh, it will if you... Okay, so it has to be outside the brackets. You click very precisely, though. Whereas on the back end bracket, you can click anywhere in this line to get it, but front end bracket, you have to click right there. That's a disadvantage in Visual Studio, but it's minor. The other one is that fact that you can't be way more accurate when using IntelliSense to predict the word you're going for. So anyway, Pulse Player 7 then is going to be the campaign specific. And that's where we're going to have to separate the info out. It's going to be a string array. Do that. Yeah. Loaded info 7. Yep, 7. Dot split according split according to, and I'm gonna have to give it, or actually just a character array. New char array of just commas and remove empty entries. Some of the predictive text isn't as good as mono's, I have to say. Strings split options dot remove empty entries. Do that. I don't see the problem with this either. Oh, wait, yeah, now I do. That's the char array. This is the options. My bad. And because that's a single character, I think it has to be in single. So I was right about that. Actually, I want this to be publicly visible for a while. Make that public up the top. London's campaign is alive, kills XP. No, not equals true, equals sort of problem is it having with it now? Oh yeah, I have to turn, that's a string and I have to turn it into a true false statement. Fingers and predictive text. Right. Campaign specific. Spawned into campaign. That's a bool. It equals. Then we check. Is that equal to true? If yes, then that equals true. If not, colon, equal to false. Is alive equals thing. Kills can be int32.parse. Situational awareness is that. Equals is. The one that's spawned alive kill. I got the right order. It wouldn't matter, but let's keep it clear in your head when you're looking later. Alright, so when I generate the player, I'm actually going to change what these are by default, just to prove that I'm loading them correct, because they will default to 0. Where do we do that? Here. Kills 10. Script. The say oh, make it 40. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to use these figures. Just want to see that they're different. And actually, because it defaults to int campaign defaults to true normally, I'm just going to make that false. I won't change it. I'm going to keep this, or keep those, but change these. So I'm going to let it be true there, but I'm going to make it false here. So since that's the last word on it, it'll be false. And is alive is going to be false as well. I'm going to say that the player is dead for no real reason. Just prove that it can load all the opposite information from default values. Just to keep them in order, they'd be there. Now the one thing we're not doing is calling. Set up from loaded info. A number of ways to be doing this. For the moment, just load up the player. Campaign info's here. proc carries a whole lot of information. Day just carries a number, and mid just carries true or false. Day equals parse saved character data. So it's here that, or sorry, 2. For now, just going to take character that's in this scene. You have a reference to him already? Find object of type character, because right now there's only one in the scene. Dot load. Set it from loaded info. Which specific info do I want to? I can actually just give him, because the player is the first character, I can actually just give him the current separated character info. Whole thing. Just loading the first. Each subsequent wingman wouldn't work like this, but there is numbers 0 to 7 in that array, so array. You're allowed to name them the same, as long as you have different arguments going into each one. Why I did that. Seems to give an error. Oh, that's a list. Okay. It wants a string array, but I've got a list. That should be okay, actually. Change that string array. It's looking. Do I have insert on? Ah, I hit the insert key by accident. That's why things were getting weird. Okay. List of type string. Keep skipping a line. Didn't do that earlier. I've been playing around with the settings in Visual Studio. I've just changed the wrong one. This is what I want to do. Stop being an idiot. Help everything. Okay. Save all. See if it compiles. So again, Teen Station 3. Typical, every time I look at chat, they're gone again. I think that was a 15 minutes ago message. That's the problem with coding, you just go down the rabbit hole, your brain is fully looking at it and then miss the chat. Whereas every time I get in between stuff, I check the chat and never anything there. Bit of an error somewhere. Okay, so it couldn't find a character. Oh, there's no avatar in this scene. Okay. I said there was one, but it actually deletes it when it comes into the scene. Put one in. Have it. Okay. This here avatar is what was generated for the player. Random appearance. But didn't seem. Alright, it didn't parse any of data. Did I tell it to? Or did I forget to call that? Up from loaded info. Should print out my name. If it doesn't print anything, then we're not calling this, and if it does print the wrong thing, then we're not loading the right stuff correctly. I printed Kevin, but yeah, then it changed playing Kavar as well. No, right, so it's generating a random. It is loading our stuff correctly, but then overriding it by the avatar doing its own thing. Probably something it's doing on awake or start. Yeah, it's on awake, it's generating new stuff. Leave in that print for a sec. I know I can use breakpoints, by the way. I tend not to. I suppose I got into the habit of not using them before I knew how to use them. Okay, so that's definitely it. It does Kevin first, and then it does awake. So I could put in a bool to tell it not to do this. I need some sort of generate random characteristics equals true normally. Because it was happening by default, so I'll have minimum disruption to this if I just keep that going, but with a check. But if I go set up from loaded info, generate random false. It won't override. I'll put in both of those, even though right now we're only using this one. Actually, not certain I want it there. Might actually break something. That in a second. Yeah, sorry. Kevin Jada Spacey. I didn't load this info correctly. Those are the. So maybe I need to create a new campaign. I can't remember if I do. Right. The name. Yeah, okay. So we've got the right info. Saved for the again. Now I think I could put the actual kills in there instead of 0 now. Oh no, exactly. Because I'm only using one avatar right now. And I'm only using this player, whereas I'm going to need to... I suppose it'd be better to just keep the one avatar in there and load whichever character I want to look at, just put their appearance and their info onto that one avatar instead of having 12 avatar objects in the scene. I think only one is okay. Don't want to do that anymore. Forgive me, I'm a bit lost on where we actually are. That do for us? I mean, we are successfully doing it for the player, but we're... One thing I can definitely do. Don't need to generate all that weird info. Because it works. I will keep my name there for a while. Probably on this. Make a player character, okay. Put saved player character in the empty scene. We would need to do next. I think because I took a bit of a shortcut there in just loading first. All I did was load the first of the characters. I didn't create a list of characters and load and enable it that I could load any one of them. Only load the first one at the moment. Because of what I'm sending. Set up from loaded info. Because of what I'm sending to this is not what I want to be sending. just calling this. I think the other one's the one being called. Did find this reference. Weird, I tried to find this reference when I found all references a second ago, but it wasn't on the list, was it? Alright, so this is what I need. This is what is wrong. We need to graded character info here. I need to break this up into actual list of characters. What I said was I would make a new character for every pilot. So I would be making 12 of these things. And they have coroutines running on them to blink the eyes and stuff, and they're just kind of hidden, they're not going to be seen. So it's a little wasteful to do it that way. I'm going to break the bank, but kind of wrong. So while I know it's wrong, and I don't think it's the easiest thing I could do right now is just make 12 of them. But I think of quick. I don't think it'd be too hard to do it the right way, essentially. Could be making the character pool entry thing after all. Make a new. I could make new character scripts in code without actually without actually generating the avatar, and although I'll have to refactor it a lot because it looks for sprites and things. Character script looks for sprites, so if it doesn't have them, it'll complain. All I really need is a string array, but for every wingman. So between here and here, I need to separate that out into 8. 0, yeah, 8. 0 to 7 is 8. Put that into 8 string arrays. No, sorry, string arrays of 8, but they're 12 of. Thanks for following Storm Ice Kid on Mixer. You into Unity or into Sons of Soul and want to see it getting made? I imagine you're just checking out the channel, but the day that someone says they're here to see Sons of Soul, that's the day it'll all have been worth it. We need new string arrays to load the character's info onto this one avatar. I don't want to make it the wrong place now. Just found it. Yeah, between here and here to set up the character. I'm on this to do. Okay. I can use that line. I can still use that line, but with a different word for that. Give it a new string array for now, so it's plain. That work? What's wrong with that? We're looking for. Oh yeah, it was a list of strings. Same problem. List, not an array. Skip lines just. Right. I'm just gonna replace this anyway. I just wanted to not leave it in there looking like it worked. Okay. I wanted to make it look weird for myself. I just separate that out. String arrays. Arrays of lists of arrays. Arrays of lists. One thing I need to be able to do is pick them and know which one I'm picking. So what the player is going to need is something to click on. Seeing like these are just letters, but if they were in there as separate objects and they were buttons, you click on the button. So the button's going to be a separate object and it's going to need to know what name it's meant to be carrying and stuff. So string array won't. Well, it will because I have all the info on their appearance and stuff. Could use a string array and just generate new buttons. This is what we do in the character creation screen. Have to be a list, not an array. I want the list of strings. And then I spawn in buttons and take their info from this list of strings, which could be a public list. I'm making too many public lists of. In fact, if all I'm about to do is separate these 96 into another 12 lists of 8 strings, I should be able to just come back to this list instead of doing that. This needs to be public enough that I can reference it from other parts of the script. From the home base manager, so it does need to be public. And you can't just go. It won't even. Doesn't like that. Yeah, it's got big problems with making a public string down here. So can't do it that way. Yeah, the most complicated thing I could do, trying to avoid doing it, is to create a whole new set of objects in here, characters or not. Set them all up just in this one place if I can just have a public list of strings, because I pretty much already have the public list. separated character info is my list. I don't need more lists. New list of I don't need more public lists. I can generate one right here. You actually don't need it here. Do I? I only need to set up from loaded info when I sort of click on the player or whatever. So, okay, figured it out. Mostly. Specific character dot add range from ooh, will this work? Do I have to add one by one? Okay, do for int I equals 0, I is less than 7. This has to be less than or equal to 7, so less than 8. I plus add stuff to that list. Separated character info. Sure that 8 wasn't too far. Printing it. Put in this specific character. The code that's here, I won't actually use here, but when we go to save the player kills and stuff, I'll use a little more code than this, but it'll prove it. Character. That should give the same result as one, two, three, five, six, 7. Yeah, I think 8 is correct because it only gave us 7 things. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8. Alright, that is 8 things. 0 to 7, yeah, is 8 numbers. 7 plus 0. No, 7 and the information in array point 0 is 8 different points of information. But if it's less than 8, then it's going up to 7, so we're okay. And now if I wanted to get a different wingman, I'll search that array for his ID, character ID, then make where it says for int I equals 0, I'll make I equal the number that his array was. So it'd be like 5 by 8. So it'll be for int I equals 40. I is less than 40 plus 8. Get the info for somebody else. Without creating new characters or don't need to print that now. Yes, though I do need to put this somewhere more useful now. Shortcut in mono-develop for commenting out the whole selection. What the comment is in Studio, or what the shortcut is. As long as it still gives the right names on the board, kind of okay. Yep. 10 minutes left. Could I create a player character? Yeah. Saved player in the empty scene. Shouldn't be too hard to do. I guess in the empty scene I'm gonna make player avatar. I don't think there are any avatars in the empty scene because the wingmen carry them, but the player doesn't. Yeah. So on this day 4th, the player avatar. Still, we won't have destroyed the campaign save and load, so unless we load straight in. No, we won't. Yeah, if we load from, if we come into it from the main base, or we come into it from the main menu straight into the mission, as in we were last in the mission, quit, come back into the mission without coming back into the home base. And we'll still be dealing with an existing campaign save and load script from the loading screen. So it'll already know the information about the player. Job is save from the home base into the mission or load into the mission. Campaign info. Okay, what do I have here? I'm actually going to put it on the director. Director script. Player avatar should be on the director. The director itself sort of sets up mission specific information and references. To the public character script. Can be the player. Waiting for compile. Yep. So now the director knows what the player avatar is. We're in the mission setup. Using collections generic to understand what a list is. So there's somewhere where I'm already tracking kills. Kills. Player got a kill function. I can now track that. Instead of tracking it in the director, I can just track the... Actually, I do want to keep that tracked. Because it'll be kind of kills this mission. Factory. Yes. And then the if player avatar avatar.kills plus as well. So when we end this mission, this has any information about kills? No. So at the moment when we leave the mission scene, everything gets destroyed except for the campaign save and load script. So it won't remember automatically what the player's kills were, even though we will have been saving them. In this instance, we actually saved them to a save file. Pretty much at the end of the stream, let me just see if we can quickly count player kills in and out of mission. We will be halfway through this. Will be save mission to home base. So here's where we have to add the player, the wingman kills, enemy losses. The mission setup script persist, because that would be a place to. Mission type. Done now. The director deletes it. Doesn't have to delete it, but I think it does delete it. And it doesn't already have references to players and wingmen and stuff, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to use that versus anything else. Instead of destroy that at the end. I'm unsure what this I did. Oh no, we just parented it to the director, didn't we? Try that again. If I remember correctly. Yeah, it's still here. Sorry, it's not here under the director, yeah. So right now it only saves how many enemy fighters are in the mission. The only information it really has that's unique. But it will have to adjust that, like after it'll set up mission setup, then it'll keep track of how many are killed, I guess. Want to do saving and loading in the loading screen instead of on the last frame of this scene before we get to load. So I would like to persist whatever object saves the kills into the loading screen and then start assigning the kills to characters and saving saving the mission results into the whole campaign save. So I could put it on the mission type, or I could put it on campaign save and load. Or I could... It might be the wrong move to persist the director into the loading screen because it'll be looking for references to things that won't exist any longer. Yeah, like it has an update function. It's going to be looking for scripts that have been destroyed, so persisting the director is not the way to go. But I mean, it won't take long to actually save the kills on the director and on the last frame of this scene. Not a deal breaker either. I just wanted to be smart about it and make all the stuff that takes a long time, which is saving and loading, a long amount of milliseconds, relatively long time, just to put that in the loading scene so that you see less sort of freezing in between scenes. Going for it. Smoother experience. So I guess we'll save it on either the mission setup or the campaign save and load. When does the mission setup get? It's gone now. Yeah. I guess what I should do is make the mission setup. It's going to save like what wingmen you brought in. Gonna have to. And it's going to save what enemies there are, so it should also save the kills. And then instead of destroying it when we leave the scene, I'll keep it alive until we get in here, then take its information, then make a note on that. What we'll do next time. I guess we're pretty much at the end of the stream now. I want to remove the part where it dials the mission setup to. Now it won't destroy the mission setup. So I can use it in here, and I will want to destroy it in the campaign save and loads script loading scene. Saving mission to home base. Try mission setup script after. Alright, so sort of got halfway through this statement. We can save kills right now, but we're not actually. Well, we're saving them in the scene, but not saving them in the. So since we're at the end of the stream, but it's still quite fresh in my mind, I'm gonna keep going on it for a little bit. So expect by Thursday for more of this to be finished. Finishing this statement of things to do will let us effectively tab in some more of this, be better set up on it, and yeah, once we've everything tabbed in, then we have a complete loop, and we can basically start fleshing the game out. So instead of a mission that's only you fighting 3 fighters, be a mission with multiple types of enemies and just loads of different setups. Like we can keep adding setups to it is the point. Like at first it'll just be search and destroy ships, fighters, because that's easy to do. Then we can add reinforcement waves with shuttles in them, and we can have mission types where you have to board the cargo transports and all sorts of stuff. But the most basic thing is to get in, kill some fighters, and leave. So there's nothing fancy right now about the missions. But it's the part I'm most looking forward to is actually designing procedural missions in code and seeing them play. Like they're sort of designed on paper already. Half designed, with a caveat for if this plays badly, we'll change it. Right, so that's the end of today. Next stream is Thursday. Do please vote for us on the Square Enix Collective, and man, it's only like 50 minutes until the E3 PC gaming show, and it was a bit lame the last couple of times, but this time there's an XCOM announcement. I'm really excited. I don't get excited about much, and I never sound excited, but I am. So, see you Thursday. I'm going to keep working on this. Tell you what happened when they come back Thursday. Adios.